change. The word alone can be challenging. How do we get started? Where will the change lead? Don't sit there and worry about it. Be the change. Welcome to Be the Change Radio. Host Kristina Bloom has been a professional psychic and spiritual advisor for 20 years, offering psychic and mediumship readings for individuals and groups. She also teaches several classes in psychic development and metaphysics. In addition, she is an author who has published 2 books so far and is the co-owner of Moonbow Publications and Productions, LLC. Are you ready for that change now? Here is your host of Be the Change Radio, Kristina Bloom.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Kristina Bloom, and I am your host for Be the Change Radio on WLTK-DB. Let's Talk Radio. I'm glad that you're here. I'm really excited to share a few more events with you. I'm getting kind of into the meat of my busy season here. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Solstice Wellness Center because and Shamwich Productions, because they put on one hell of a witches ball this weekend. It was flipping amazing. Go check out their websites. I had so much fun. It was just amazing. You know, you guys see me in t-shirts and no makeup and whatever, but I was like dressed to the nines. I was looking good along with everybody else who was looking amazing. There are just so many really cool people there. We had a great fair, and then we had a whole lot of fun with a drag show and a really nice dinner, and then the ball. It was wonderful. So go check them out. Check out their website because there are some awesome pictures there. You can also check out their Facebook page, Shamwich, SHAM.WITCH. It's amazing stuff. We had so much fun there. Fall is the busy season for those of us in the psychic world, and it has not slowed down yet. You can find me in Rhinelander, Wisconsin this weekend. I will be at the Quality Inn in Rhinelander for the Northwoods Expos Mind, Body, Spirit Fair. And I will be doing the psychic gallery reading at noon. So make sure that you're there by noon. You can get your $25 ticket at the front door for that gallery reading. And then I will be doing private readings or individual readings. Now, it's at a fair. It's not very private, but individual readings all day as well. And I am doing a private in-home gallery and individual readings on the following day, also up in the Northwoods area. And I'm mentioning that because if you would like to schedule an in-home gallery, seance, private readings for your friends, getting your family and friends together, whatever, I am very, very happy to help you out with that. I am in Wisconsin, so, trying to keep it within 3 or 4 hours of Milwaukee would be good. But if I happen to be traveling on the road, like I'm going to be in Vermont in a couple of weeks, so that puts me driving through a bunch of states. If you live somewhere between Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, or Vermont, and you want to schedule a party in a couple of weeks, hit me up on my Facebook Messenger, Kristina L. Bloom, and I will be happy to get you scheduled around the retreat that I am doing in Vermont in a couple of weeks. So that is, that's going to be a whole lot of fun at Enliven Retreat. I think there might be one spot left. If you're interested and you're a lady who's interested in yoga, human design, and psychic development, shoot me a message. Again, Kristina L. Bloom on Messenger, and I'll see what I can do about getting you into that. When I get back in Wisconsin on the 19th, I will be in Eau Claire at the Autumn Psychic and Wellness Fair at 29 Pines Sleep-In Conference Center on Mondovi Avenue in Eau Claire, or Mondovi Road, I think it is actually. So that is on the 19th. And there's a possibility that I could be in the La Crosse area on the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend. So really super excited to be doing all of these amazing things. And again, if you want to schedule also an individual reading over the phone, in person, on Zoom, just shoot me a message and I'll get you set up. All right, now I can take a breath. um, I wanted to tonight just kind of go over some tips and some experiences that I have had in in the paranormal world. I went to the paranormal conference in the Dark Waters Paranormal Conference, which was also amazing, kick-ass thing. That was, oh my gosh, so amazing. I'm definitely going back next year. So, and I've got some other stuff that I've got working up in the northern New York area for next year as well. So I'm excited about all of that. But let's try to stay in this year for now. And tonight, I really wanted to talk about my own paranormal experiences because I interview a lot of people who do a lot of really cool stuff, and I am so honored to be in touch with those people. But I'm one of those people too. I do a lot of paranormal stuff. I do some in paranormal investigations, and a lot of you probably, if you've listened to the show before or to the podcast, you know that I am a member of the Adirondack Park Paranormal Society, which was also amazing doing that haunted house. And I will be there both weekends next year doing the haunted house with my group. That'll be a lot of fun too. And yeah, I'm just going to take Robin, Lisa, Valerie. Hi, thank you for being here. And Lisa, yes, I will be in Rhinelander this coming weekend. I hope to catch up with you. Stop by the Quality Inn. There's a lot of cool stuff going on there. Not just, readers, but there's healers and all kinds of people selling everything from t-shirts to crystals to crystal balls and skulls. It's amazing. So I wanted to talk about some of the stories that I have gathered throughout my career in the paranormal. And there's a lot of different areas. So, there is the paranormal investigations, because at one point I was a member of Whisper in the Seattle area and did some paranormal investigating with them, area home cleansings, running into different kinds of energies that people can encounter when you're doing anything. Well, you don't even have to be doing anything paranormal. Sometimes we just run into weird energies. But there's a lot of different areas that I have worked in over the last 21 years. And I wanted to share those experiences, but also share with you how you can do some of these things and make it easier for yourself. First of all, I want to talk about fear. Let's just go right into talking about fear. What you fear is what you're going to focus on, and what you focus on is what you're going to attract to yourself. So if you are going into something and you're afraid of it, please don't do that to yourself. Don't go. Don't go. If your primary feeling is fear, don't go into that. Find somebody who is not afraid, or who at least, I'm not saying just, throw caution to the wind by any means. There needs to be some common sense there. And, but if you're going in there just with a lot of fear, you're afraid of what you're going to encounter, it's probably better if you're not there. It's just not something that you want to draw to yourself. Because if you're afraid of negative energy, you're going to draw negative energy to yourself, because you get what you focus on. That's basic law of attraction. That's something that I wanted to put out there. As far as paranormal investigating goes, if you've never done it before, go with someone who has and actually knows what they're doing, because there are a lot of people out there, and probably because, for the last 10 or 15 years or so, there've been a lot of paranormal TV shows. And I don't want to call anyone out specifically, but it's not, when you're doing paranormal investigations, it's not like it is on TV, not even close, because they go through hours and hours and hours of actual investigations to pull out those few things that make you jump when you watch it. So there's really a lot of time sitting. So if you're going in for the thrill of it, I hope that sitting thrills you, because you're not going to be doing much else for a lot of it. There are things that happen, and there are activities that go on. There is paranormal activities that go on, but there's an awful lot of waiting around for some of that activity. So that's one of the things. Keep an eye on your fear, and fear also makes you imagine things that may or may not actually happen. So that's something else. Robin, it can get boring. It can. It can get boring because you're just sitting there waiting for lights to go on or whatever. Um, I don't want to discourage anyone from having an experience, but just be careful about how you draw those experiences to you, because nobody really wants to get hurt doing this. And you can if you're drawing those experiences to yourself. So there's that. I have had ghost encounters on and off of paranormal investigations. Some I have actually only in three instances that I can think of, have I actually ever seen an apparition outside of my body. And a lot of people, when I say I see things, I want to be very clear. I'm seeing them in my third eye, in my mind's eye. I get pictures, I get images. That's when I'm seeing things mostly. Every once in a while, like I said, there's only been 3 times that I have actually seen that outside of myself that I can recall at the moment. And one of those was a dog who had been thrown from a vehicle. And as I was following a vehicle, I saw it happen, but I saw it as a replay, only I didn't know it was a replay because it looked solid. Okay. So that's one of those things. And then after I circled the block, when I first saw it, the dog just ran away. But as I circled and came around the block again, that dog had been laying on the sidewalk the whole time, and I didn't see it the first time. That was one where it looked very solid to me, like I actually saw it happening in front of me. There was after my grandmother passed away. She passed away. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember death dates. I don't know why. I guess exact dates that people leave the planet just doesn't seem all that important to me, I guess. But she always wore a specific type of shoe. And some of you may have heard me talk about this before, but at Thanksgiving that year, I saw her shoes walking down the stairs. Just her shoes walking down the stairs. And I immediately went and looked in her closet and they were still there, but I saw the shoes solid walking down the stairs. So I thought that was interesting. And then there was one where I saw, and I'm pretty sure that they weren't ghosts. I'm pretty sure that they were as alive as you and me, as far as being in physical form, crossing a street. And my then husband was sitting next to me. I was driving and the light turned green and I sat there and waited for these 2 guys to finish crossing the street. And he asked me what I was looking at, or like why I wasn't going. And I'm like, you don't see those guys walking across the street? And he gave me that sideways look and went, what guys? So, I don't know if that was interdimensional. I don't know if that was spirit, but it looked interdimensional to me, I guess. So those are the 3 times that I've actually seen physical, outside of myself, things that people did not see. I have a lot of auditory stuff. I hear things. Logan and I were talking a couple of weeks ago about how he and his brother, my husband and I, we were all sitting in one room, and it sounded like a soup pot fell off the top of a refrigerator, but only Logan and I heard it. My other child and my husband did not hear it. So, there's things like that too that are, I agree, Lisa, that poor dog. I know I cried so hard. I really did. I had to pull over and cry. It was awful. But back to the noises, sometimes somebody will hear a noise and the person sitting right next to them doesn't hear it. And it's not a hearing issue. It's a paranormal issue. You either heard it or you didn't. I am going to encourage everyone who is in the chat to, if you have an experience that you want shared on the show, put it in the chat. I'll get your experience on the show. And if you are up to coming on the show and doing it with me, then I'll put you up on the show too. That would be great. So if, please feel free to do that. Encounters with spirits, I have those a lot. I've been called to do some interesting cleansings in different places where there has been just trouble, I guess. Years ago, someone called me to their home because they had a little boy who would play on an outdoor play set. But every time that he went out and he played on it, he would come in and he would just be really angry, like just horribly angry. I think he was like 7 or 8 at the time. And so I was called to go and see what was going on with that play set, that he was coming off of it so angry. And it wasn't the play set itself, it's where it was placed. They happened to have just incidentally placed the play set on the site of a murder of a child that had happened like probably 2 centuries ago. And during that thing, I was able to just watch what happened. And a little boy who had been, again, I don't know, maybe 10 years old at the time, had been very violently abused at home. And he just didn't even want to go home anymore. So he provoked a drunk man into a fight. And when you provoke someone who is on alcohol into a fight, they don't stop fighting. And they both got stuck there. Actually, I think they both died in that fight, or left their bodies during that fight. And after I was able to like call someone to come and get the little boy, well, but I had to break up the fight first because it became a residual haunting situation. And it's just that they happened to put the play set right on the exact spot where that residual haunting took place. And it was kind of weird. I mean, like, nobody would do that on purpose. It was completely accidental, but being able to break up the fight, and then that poor man just like falling backwards onto the ground, the drunk man from a couple hundred years ago. And he just kept rocking back and forth and saying, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. And he just kept saying that over and over and over again. And the little boy, he didn't even realize, I mean, neither one of them realized that they'd even left their bodies. They just kept fighting. And so I asked who he wanted to come and get him. And I do that a lot when there's a spirit that needs to go over. I ask that spirit, who do you want to come and get you? And he said he wanted his grandmother. So I asked his grandmother to come, and she did. She came and she took him off to the light. And then with the man, he was just sitting there, he was still rocking back and forth and saying, I didn't want to do it. And he did that for a long time. But I asked him who he wanted to come and take him to the light. And he said, I don't get to go there. Yeah, you actually do get to go there. And I convinced him somehow. He said, fine, if I can go there, I want Jesus to come and get me. I'm telling you, the Christ energy never says no to that, has never said no to me to that. Came and got him, took him to the light. After that, no more problems on the play set. And it's like, eventually I will write the book, because people have been telling me to write the book about all of these experiences. And eventually I will. Yeah, Lisa, exactly. Centuries of sadness. That's exactly what it was. And rage. There was still rage caught up in that interaction that didn't get solved because they got stuck in it, and they got stuck in this residual, repetitive thing. So that was something that I felt really grateful to be able to help out in that situation. Oh, Robin, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. She said, you got me to cry with that story. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. But it was a powerful healing thing, though, because both of Lisa cried too. Wow, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant to do here. But it was a very healing experience, not only for those two spirits that were involved in it, but also for the family that had that situation going on. It was very healing for them as well. I am just trying to think of like all of these experiences that I've had over the years. And I don't ever want to get to a place where those experiences become commonplace for me, because I think that it is so extraordinary that we are able to help others in such a powerful way. It's so powerful because we're still people, right? We're in or out of the body. We're still people. And I love that I have the opportunity, along with many other people, to be able to help those find peace. Whether they're in a body or out of a body, I get to help people find peace. And I just think that's such a powerful and important job for those of us who are doing it in any profession, not just my profession as a psychic, but in any profession. If we can help someone find peace, it's just so powerful and so beautiful. And I just love that. And I feel grateful to be a part of that. Um, Animal spirits, like with the little dog, but I've had plenty of encounters with animal spirits. Lots and lots of encounters with animal spirits, and ironically a lot of cats. um, I think Logan and I had shared as well, when we lived at the farm in Germantown, there were cats jumping on the bed. There were cats that just curled up on the bed. I could hear them purring. I could feel them purring against my leg. And I'd look and I would see nothing, but I could feel it and I could hear it. Um, with the horses, some beautiful experiences with horses who had passed over, and just lovely stuffed dogs. I will sometimes be in somebody's house, a friend's house or whatever, and I'll see a dog in the other room, and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know you had a dog." And they're like, "Well, we did, but the dog died." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I see the dog." So it's for me. I think that animals don't have the resistance that people do to flowing in and out of bodies. And I just love that because I can talk to animals who have passed over. I can, help the owners find peace. Uh, I actually have not ever met an animal, even an abused animal, who was angry after leaving their body. It's like they don't have the complications that we do, I don't think. And they're able to just move on and move out and be okay. And Lisa, yeah, I love that my babies stick around, and all of her babies, I think, have four legs. Maybe there's like ducks or something. I don't know. But yeah, the babies stick around sometimes, the animal spirits like to stick around where they feel comfortable. And they do have four legs. Okay. I thought that was the case. I know we talked about some of her animals at one point that had crossed over. And I really, really just love talking to the animals, because they just beam me pictures, and I don't think I've ever met an angry animal spirit. They're all very good about that. Um, Deer, when I'm walking through the woods, I encounter deer. I can usually tell whether they're still in a body or not. Sometimes I can't. Usually I can tell because I can hear them if they're still in a body. And I said I only could remember 3 experiences, but I have had deer like that. Robin says that she saw a black lab curled up on a bathroom rug recently. Of course, he wasn't living. Was he your black lab, Robin? I just wanted to ask that question because um, it could be a black lab who'd lived there before. I know I've lived in places where animals who had lived there before are still there. They didn't move on with the owners or whatever. Nope, not her black lab. Okay, cool. Cool. I don't know. I like animal spirits. I like talking to them. They're a lot of fun to talk to, and they're very peaceful to talk to. I really like that. Um, let's see. Alien encounters, which are also paranormal. I have had several of those, but most of those have been in the context of uh, either channeling or telepathic communication. There hasn't been, I've seen one UFO that I can say for sure was a UFO, which is still an unidentified flying object. And there's another word for that now. I don't know, UPAs or I don't know what it is, but I have only seen one that I could for sure say that was not built on Earth. I don't think, because I don't think we have the technology for what it did, which was, it was one of the triangle light things, like they have the triangle light things. And it just kind of slowly spun around. It was over Lake Superior off of northern Michigan, off the UP of Michigan. And then it just off. I mean, like lightning fast. It was amazing. But it did hover and spin for a while. And that was pretty cool. And it was red and green lights. And I mean, I sound like, I've watched a bunch of documentaries, but I didn't find out that was a normal thing until after I'd seen it. So as we're talking about normal UFOs, right? They are very, more and more people are seeing them. It's much more common than it used to be. And I think it's more that maybe it's not more common. Maybe it's that we're more accepting because so many more people are stepping up and saying, yeah, I had this experience. I do channel alien life forms. I channel Pleiadians. 2 members of the Pleiadian High Council come through me pretty regularly, one of which is my own counterpart on Pleiades. And that was an experience for me to be able to stand in front of the High Council, which is kind of like, if you know what the Senate room looks like in the White House, it's kind of like that. But I was up there in the balcony and also on the floor and talking to myself both ways, but I could feel myself in both places. And that was a really interesting experience for me. I actually enjoyed that, but it really kind of hit home to me that we are multidimensional beings ourselves. We're not just this body and this mind, even though that's where most of our concentration is. We are multidimensional human beings. And my understanding of multidimensional has expanded with the experiences that I've had. And some of you have heard me channel Pleiadian members before and the messages that they bring through, and just trying to help us kind of navigate what we're going through on this planet, because what we're going through now is unprecedented in modern history. And it's amazing to me that we have so much awakening going on this planet and so much light being shown into the dark places. And I hear people all the time talking about how much worse it's getting. I don't see it that way. All of the darkness that we are now seeing, it's not new. It's been here forever. But the light is being shown on it. And with the light being shown on it, we are now able to deal with it. We are now able to see it and go, that's not okay. We need to stop doing that and move forward with making the world a better place. And even though it feels like all of this darkness is here, it really, I don't see it as necessarily a bad thing. People getting hurt, animals getting hurt, that's horrible. I'm right on track with that. But it's always been happening. And now that we can see it happening, we as a species can do something about it. And I feel like we are. I feel like, there are a lot more people stepping up and going, not okay. Not okay. We can't allow that to continue happening. And Lisa, thank you. She says she feels that way as well. The good is quiet while the bad is loud. I like that. I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about near-death experiences and then whatever else you guys want to talk about that you put in the chat. So get busy typing, my friends.
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Be the Change Radio on WLTK.com, Let's Talk Radio. I'm Kristina Bloom. I'm your host, and we are talking about some of my paranormal experiences. And also, I've got some questions in chat that I'm going to answer. And if you have questions, feel free to jump on Facebook on the WLTK-DB page or any of my pages, the Kristina L. Bloom pages, and put your questions in the chat, and I will get to them as quickly as I can. I think if you go to the WLTK-DB Talk Radio page, not the group, the Talk Radio page, I think that's where I will be able to see your comments. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Otherwise, I can answer your questions after the paranormal room, which is next, which is going to be a great show too. I'm going to plug that in a minute. Lisa says, I'm interested in what you know of official first contact. I hear of it being spoken about, but don't know much of who, what, where, and when. Actually, I have not been there for that. I mean, I know what my official first contact has been, but I don't know. As far as planet Earth, there's a lot of stories out there. I don't know which one to believe. I don't know anything more about that than you do, I think. I mean, I could research it some more to find out more about that. I know that the alien thing is really interesting, and people are like, I have a lot of people ask me, do you think that the aliens are good or bad? And my answer is probably both. I mean, every species has the good and the bad, I mean, are humans good or bad? Both. So I don't think that that's really any different when we're talking about other beings and where they live. There are some more advanced, some less advanced than we are. And I don't like judgment words like good and bad. I just try to stick with frequency, high frequency and low frequency, because higher frequency produces more light, lower frequency produces less light. We tend to see lower frequency as darker. We sometimes label it evil because we have that label, I guess. I try to stay away from the judgment words because when I'm judging something, I'm not seeking to understand it. And my goal is always to seek to understand. So I am going to take Lisa's question to heart here, and I will do some research on that. I really want to find out more about that. I said when we went to break that we were going to talk about near-death experiences. That is something that is very near and dear to my heart. I've had 4. I died as a child as a result of child abuse, plain and simple. Every experience was different. Every experience affected me in a different way. And I feel like every experience, to some extent, made me a better person, made me a better human, I guess. The first one taught me that when horrible things started happening, that I could leave my body and I would be okay. And from that point on, I don't know how to say I didn't suffer from the abuse, but I wasn't there for it. Like, my spirit was gone. I just checked out. I left. The body had to deal with some horrible things that my spirit did not have to deal with. And I really feel that that's what got me through intact as much as I am. So that was one of them. I don't know how intact I was because my next one happened when I was 14 and I overdosed. And so, as I'm sharing my story, I am hoping that you understand that it took a lot for me to get to where I am and to be able to share these things with you. So as I'm talking about it, I want you to understand I am no longer attached emotionally to those things. I have done a lot of work, decades of therapy, a lot of work on myself spiritually. There has been a great deal of work that I have done to no longer be someone who endured those things. And that doesn't mean that they didn't happen, and it doesn't mean that the people involved were exonerated or whatever. It just means that I'm okay. and I choose to be okay. And I want everyone to know that no matter what you've been through, you can choose to be okay. And that doesn't mean it's going to be easy to get there, but it can be done. And I am living proof of that. So I just wanted to put that out there. Please don't be feeling bad for me. This is just part of my story. I can't say that the experiences, the hard parts of the experiences did not make me who I am. The fact that I not only survived, but rose above them, that made me who I am. And the same is true for you. The people who hurt you, they don't make you who you are. You make you who you are by how you choose to respond to those memories and to those experiences. So, I OD'd at 14 and continued to use for another 3 years until I sobered up and got clean at 17. That also made me who I am, because a year into recovery, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I walked through that. And I did not do chemo and radiation, and I'm not giving medical advice. Please don't take it that way. I was 18, and I was, quite frankly, sassy pants. I was pretty arrogant and just went, if I'm going to die, I'm going to do it with my hair, basically. And so, I was doing a little bit of low-key modeling or whatever, nothing big, because I'm not tall enough to walk a runway. But at 18, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I went through surgery. And that's where my real spiritual journey actually started. So at that point, I learned how to meditate. And that was already a year sober, where they've been telling me to meditate for the last year, my sponsors and whatever. And I learned how to meditate, and I learned about nutrition, and I learned how to take care of myself. And, I haven't even talked about the eating disorder that went on during that whole 3-year period between the overdose and getting clean, because there was that going on too, with bulimia and anorexia combined. And so I had to learn how to eat, and I had to learn how to eat decent nutrition. And even through that, 2 years later, the cancer came back. And so I had it again at 20. And again, I had surgery, but I just didn't choose to do the chemo and radiation. And I'm happy to say that this year, I have been cancer-free since I was 20 years old. I'm now 55. So that's 35 years, if I'm doing my math right. Somebody check my math. That I have been cancer-free, and that I have been celebrating life with that, with my health to a great degree. As my story continues, there's more things that have happened. At 25, my heart stopped in childbirth, and they had to restart my heart. And I think they did that twice. It was like I was really in and out of it, obviously, that day. But I think they had to restart my heart twice. And when the baby's heart stopped, they did a C-section. So that was the third near-death experience, was that. Now, I haven't even talked about like what happened on the other side of those near-death experiences, because they were all different. Every single death experience was a different physical experience and a different spiritual experience. I did talk about the first one a little bit, where I learned how to leave my body. The fourth one was actually not that long ago. It was in 2014, so 8 years ago, when I had a severe case of pneumonia, and pretty much just literally drowned in my own body. And they did some surgeries to keep me going there too. But it's interesting to me. In between there's like every one of my life lessons has been a health crisis. And I'm really over that, because those suck. And in the United States, they're very expensive. So I'm just done with that. I'm done with the health crisis. But there's so many different ways that we can experience paranormal things. And paranormal is anything outside of what we consider normal, basically. It's things we can't explain. It's things that maybe we will never understand. I mean, I don't understand for myself, like why some of the things that I encounter. And that's whether that's with my own body or with other people. I have seen so many amazing things, and I have seen so many healing things, and I have been honored to witness miracles that really defy any explanation. And I am grateful for that. And I consider all of that paranormal because we don't consider any of that normal. As far as, what's normal? Is setting on a washing machine, a town in Illinois? I don't know what's normal, but it's important, I think, that we notice these things. And I think that that's where the magic in life is. And I think that when we can notice the magic and we can notice the gifts that we receive through miraculous energies, it's all energy and it's all magic and it's all miracle. And the fact that anything can even reproduce on this planet is a miracle in itself. And yet look how many people there are, look how many other animals there are. The way that that's set up is, I don't know, design flaws everywhere, but it still works. It still works. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know a lot of things, but I do know that when I tap into magic and I tap into energy, which to me is the same thing, and I get to see miracles, that's why I'm here. I'm here to bear witness to miracles, and I have seen plenty of them. You're going to meet my miracle in 20 minutes on the Paranormal Room, because he is my co-host for the Paranormal Room. We have so many incredible things that happen that we just don't pay attention to, or maybe we do and we let them scare us. And are there scary things out there? Yeah. And most of them walk on 2 feet or 2 legs. But there are so many things that we can just be grateful for that we get to witness. Every day we get to witness amazing things, like the sun rising every day. I mean, how many of us take that for granted? Or the sun setting every day? And we understand that the sun isn't actually rotating around the earth. We get that now. That's been a science thing for a long time. But it still feels like a miracle every time I get to see a sunrise. And it still feels like a miracle every time I get to see a sunset. And watching the moon phases. And I know I brought this up a lot lately too, but the moon is not always in the right place. And I don't understand that either, but I think it's kind of cool, because then I get to go look for it and wonder why is it over there when it's supposed to be over here or whatever. I love all of this stuff that defies explanation, or maybe there is some explanation, or there's theories about things. And I love that I'm a medium. I love that I get to talk to your loved ones and help you talk to your loved ones. To me, that is such an honor, and it is just such an amazing gift to be able to connect you with people that you thought were lost. And I know there are a lot of mediums out there too who are probably listening to this or might run across this podcast somewhere. And I am just very, very grateful that we are here, that we can talk on both sides, that we can connect you to people you love, that we can help you connect to your spirit guides, that we can help you connect to yourself on a higher level, that we are able to. And that, I feel honored to be able to do that with people. I feel really blessed that I can help people heal what was broken long ago by getting peace, by getting to say goodbye, by getting answers they didn't get before. I am so blessed to be able to do that for you. And Lisa said this fall was miraculous. Oh my gosh, I could not agree more. I got to see fall in 6 different states this year. And hi, Sherry. Thanks for joining us. Um, yeah, I've just been so blessed to be able to do that and to be able to travel. And anybody who knows me more than 5 minutes knows I've got some gypsy in me somewhere because I am always on the road if I get to be. I love to travel. And I was just blessed to be able to see so many miracles this year. And I'm going to go back to the, let me see. Lisa said, you gave me 2 missing years back after our retreat and my soul retrieval. Oh, yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Lisa is such a gifted person, too. And I think everybody in this room is a gifted person. And you might not know what your gifts are. You might not want to accept them, but I know that they're there. Where was I? Oh yeah. Sorry. I'm kind of rambling and going off in different directions, but there's just so much to be grateful for. And there's so much that I can do and that you can do and that people who just believe can do to be of service or to love and help each other, to be able to just bring peace to people and animals. Anybody who's ever been around me knows I'm an animal magnet. They just come to me. They just come to me. And it's a wonderful thing and I love it. But back to the Darkwater Paranormal Conference, which is where I was going. There were people in there, multiple religions in that room, and everyone got along. You know, there's over 300 documented religions in the world, you know, in history. And there were multiple religions there at that conference and everyone got along. Everyone had civil conversations and were laughing together. And to me, that's a miracle because my gosh, how much division do we see in this world over religion? So much division. And there it was unity. Everybody brought together. You know, everybody put on a costume and went dancing, and it was just so much fun. Oh, Robin, I look forward to that conversation. I look forward. I don't know. Is it okay if I say what you wrote there? I don't want to spill anybody's beans, but I love the little miracles that we have every day that we fail to notice. And if we did notice them, we would all be the change. We would all be making the change. Okay, so Robin said that I can share this. So she said, someday I'll tell you how you helped me with my mother. And I know that probably doesn't sound like something very private, but to me it is because that's a relationship and it's a sacred relationship. And even when the mother, child, parent, whatever relationship has not been good, so to speak, it's still sacred. And I want to honor that with people. I know I'm saying a lot today. I'm sorry. It doesn't sound very professional. I've just got so much running through my mind and it's all trying to get out at once. And part of me wants to go back to talking about the near-death experiences. Like, is it okay with you guys? You know, I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk about what happened after I left my body in each experience. So the first one, when I was little, again, left my body abruptly. And I found myself walking through a meadow. And I was little. I was very tiny. First of all, it was a preemie. So I was very tiny to begin with. But I'm walking through these tall grasses. And I just remember like having my hands like just like this and running across the top of the grass. And I remember the dress that I was wearing that day. And I saw somebody sitting on a boulder way out in the meadow. So I walked over there. And this man helped me up on the rock. And we sat there and we chatted. And I knew that it was Jesus, even though he looked a lot more like Bob Marley than he did like Jesus. But I knew it was him. And I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but I do remember that he told me that I would always be safe. And even if that happened again, I could come to the meadow and I would be safe. And I said, okay. I didn't understand really what was happening. I was little. I didn't really I mean, I think my heart knew, but my brain didn't. So he helped me down off of the boulder and I walked back through the meadow. But about 3/4 of the way, maybe through the meadow, I saw a tree. And it went up and then it branched off, and it was a big tree. And I looked at one side of the branch, and I could not see the top of the branch. I couldn't see the top of the tree. And then my eyes just kind of followed down to where it branched off and went to the other one. And I saw the top of the tree, and I was instantly back in my body that fast. But I was the only one in the room. And I don't know like how long I have been unconscious. I don't know how long that interaction took, because when you leave the physical plane, time doesn't exist. And so that was kind of crazy. But it gave me that survival skill, and it gave me that skill or maybe an understanding that what's on earth isn't all that there is. And I think that it's key that I had that early in my life. When I overdosed, there were a lot of complications because, again, I wasn't eating. I had that eating disorder, and my body was shutting down. And I ended up overdosing, but I was still conscious, and I was in a lot of pain because I had a ruptured bowel and didn't know it. So we lived way out in the middle of nowhere, up north in northern Wisconsin. And my mom, not knowing what was going on, put me in the back of her car and drove me 28 miles or something to the nearest hospital. And this was a weekend. They had to do an emergency surgery. And during the surgery, I left my body. And I remember walking up a dark staircase, but there was a light at the top on the left-hand side, but it was a light that was coming out from a rounded door. And I knocked on the door, and there was a voice on the other side. I didn't recognize the voice. I couldn't even tell you if it was male or female, but I just remember arguing with that voice because they said, "It's not your time. We're not going to let you in." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not leaving. I am not leaving. You are letting me in." And that argument, again, I had no concept of it on that side. What I did find out later was that I was in a coma for 4 days after that. And it must have been during that time that I was having that argument. When I finally did come back into my body, the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was my younger brother, who I later found out had been sitting there the whole time. He refused to leave my side. So that was the second one. The third one, when I was in labor with my oldest child, and my heart stopped. And that time they were like, "Okay, you can come now." And I'm like, "No, I can't. I have this baby to take care of. I can't go anywhere." And so that time I was like arguing for the opposite, So I do remember staying in the hospital room, but like floating above and going, "I got to be here for that baby. I can't leave. I can't leave now." And I kept forcing myself back into my body to stay there because I had a baby to take care of. The last one, wow, we're getting close to the end of the hour here. The last one was with the severe pneumonia, and I couldn't breathe. And they initially thought that I had a collapsed lung, but it was just so surrounded with fluid that the X-ray couldn't see the lung. And I had 2 emergency surgeries in a very short span of time. Again, it's very fuzzy. I don't remember the exact timing of all of that. But at that time, I went all the way into the light, and I was already there. And I was in a place of indescribable love and peace. And I wanted to stay there. And I heard my husband's voice, and I went to his voice, and that put me back into my own body. I was angry about that for a long time. I did a speakers panel with other people who had had near-death experiences, and other people has very different experiences than I did. And I think one of these times, I don't know, maybe early in 2023, I'll have a panel of people who've had those experiences. But I got dropped back into the most painful body I'd ever been in. And considering what I'd already been through, that's saying quite a bit, I think. It was difficult. It was painful. It took months to recover from that surgery and from that experience. But I'm here, and I am here to share messages of hope and love and paranormal. You know, things are not what they always seem to be. And I think that we can very easily get stuck on what's happening on planet Earth and lose sight of all of the beautiful things on planet Earth and off of planet Earth. And like I said, I love to travel. I have driven to all but 6 continental United States. And every single one of them is beautiful in their own way. And if you have not gotten out and seen wherever it is you live and appreciated it and enjoyed it and maybe explored beyond it, I urge you to do so, because there is so much more out there than you will ever know. Yeah, I know. People keep telling me that's why you're here. Your mission isn't done. And I'm like, dang it. How much more mission is there? But I know that there is. And I hope that I continue to touch lives. And I hope that all of you continue to touch lives, because even if you don't know that you're touching lives, I promise you, you are. And I think I'm going to end with that, because we have our next show coming up, which is the Paranormal Room. And we are talking about cultural superstitions. And I forgot the other word, but I'm sure Logan will remind me. And Logan he's a miracle for sure. And he wants to talk to you all about it, this great idea he has for our Paranormal Room listeners. So I will see you all next week, and I will be back with Wendy Jackson, who is an incredible energy healer and also an intuitive herself, who's very, very accurate, and she's a whole lot of fun. So everyone, take care. I invite you all to join us in the Paranormal Room as we get started with that in a few minutes, and have a great week.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.